Hello and welcome to Experience Share. It's a Pokemon podcast starring me, Ponyta, aka Tanner Greenring. And I am joined, as always, by my co-host,
Infielnape.
Yeah.
Like Infernape.
Infernape.
Look what I'm working with that last name. I think it's pretty
bad.
good.
Not too
You've
bad.
done worse.
I'll say this now, bug catchers, I didn't generate these nicknames.
Tanner was coming in by the seat of his pants, and I had to come up with them on the fly.
Yeah, Josh has taken the wheel this week because I was busy with work. And we are joined for the first time, and hopefully not the last, by our old friend, Dr. Lavatar. Lavartar.
Lavaratar.
What's that thing called?
Dr. Lava.
Hey, fellas.
No, not Dr. Lava.
Well, Larvitar.
It's so weird to hear this without the intro music over it. It sounds so devoid of charm and personality.
Yeah. Don't worry, this is us. The raw us is totally devoid of charm and personality, so you're about to get the first-hand experience.
It sounds like shit until we work our magic on it.
I really like those episodes with Jack Shepard and Josh when he's like, we do this thing called vibe check.
Oh, yeah.
And Josh is like, oh, that sounds neat. He's like, well, there's going to be music over it, which will sound cooler than it does to you right now. So we're kind of what we're experiencing right now.
That's a segment I invented, by the way. These two stole that entire premise. That entire episode with those two was an affront.
Vibe check inspired the Respete stinger, because I was like, oh, that's cool where you, like, talk over it. I don't know if you've heard it yet, Dr. Lava, but
I've listened to all the episodes.
It's a good new one.
I don't remember the Respete stinger, but I'll look out for it.
If you're lucky, you'll get a Respete today.
Ooh.
If you play your cards right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dr. Lava, welcome to the show. You are God among the Pokemon internet space. You're our friend, and you're also someone who people respect, unlike us.
We're the degenerates.
You're the adult in the room. You're the authority. You're the expert. We're gonna be leaning on you a lot. It's Lava, take the wheel.
Yeah, I mean, it's a real pleasure to be here. You know, I love y'all's podcast. I listen every Tuesday. I tell my wife it's Tuesday, so you can't count on me to help take care of the baby tonight because I'm gonna play a video game and listen to the pod.
What time does our show come out in China, where you live? I don't know if any of your fans or ours knows that.
Oh yeah,
I think it's like 7 p.m. on Tuesday nights here.
Prime time.
Yeah, prime time.
Oh, that's pretty nice.
Yeah.
It's a weird record for us because Josh and I generally record on Tuesday evenings at like 7 p.m. It is a Friday evening at 10:30 p.m. because Dr. Lava, you do live in China.
We're dealing with 13 hours. Is that right? You're 13 hours ahead? 12
I believe
hours?
so. 13 hours, yep.
Yeah.
It's been a wild ride coordinating this between the time zone and your recently becoming a father. But we finally made it happen. Here we are talking to Dr. Lava himself, our benefactor, our patron, someone who's supported our entire little podcast through its entire run.
And you distinctly as Professor Magma at one point.
Yeah.
Was your benefactor.
Yeah, Professor.
I don't know, bug catchers, I don't know if you put that together, but
that's a
Dr.
little
Lava was secretly Professor Magma.
Big reveal.
Yeah.
Yeah, really looking forward all season to hear the final battle with Tanner using that team against Josh. It's like, come on, get him. And then it's just like, he just gets destroyed. And I was like, in China, they would say, I lost face. And,
oh, yeah.
I was just like, oh, no.
This Gen 2
Season
team.
2. Yeah.
Yeah. There was some behind-the-scenes dealings that I don't know if I ever really addressed on the show, but Dr. Lava helped coach me, helped me figure out the best team I could build during Season 2 when I was Fjellstan.
Well, I didn't do too much. I mean, not enough to really take responsibility for the loss. I mean, I don't want
Definitely,
to
distancing yourself. Yeah, smart.
Yeah.
Dr. Lava, you have a prolific and popular YouTube channel. You have a prolific and popular Twitter account where you kind of do deep dives into the minutia of Pokemon. You are great at kind of unearthing some of the sacred tomes of Pokemon and digging into the lore and the code of all of the games to find all the weird shit that all of us missed in all of these Pokemon games. And you've been a valuable resource for us these last 3.5 seasons.
Oh, I'm glad I could do that.
One of the few people who can keep us in check with our, like, just making shit up, basically. Like, oh, wait, no. I saw a Dr. Lava tweet that disproves whatever weird rant I was about to go on.
Well, I should point out, because I know some people will actually know my limitations and to be like, he's taking credit. I wouldn't know the first. I didn't finish high school, so I wouldn't know the first thing about rooting around in internal data and all that. Like, mostly someone else will contact me, like, look what I found. I don't speak Japanese either, so I pay other people to translate stuff into Japanese, and I will hunt down the magazines and pay for the stuff that I can't do myself. But yeah, I don't want anyone thinking I'm like what was that guy in that movie Swordfish, where he's
no,
like
you're Hugh Jackman in Swordfish.
Yeah, I'm Hugh Jackman. I'm like spinning around with like 4 computers at once, like just like hacking away and just like, oh yeah.
You have been an invaluable resource to us. You've been an invaluable resource to a number of Pokemon fans.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for coming on our silly little show.
It's a pleasure. I've been wanting to do this for a long time. It's a real treat. It's the only podcast. I mean, I know probably everyone says that, but yours is the only podcast I listen to, guys. And although I do feel like I am contributing to the problem selfishly, because as much as I love being here, I also, every time I turn on the podcast and there's a guest, I'm like, oh no, like I want my unfiltered Josh and Tanner. Like now it's diluted like 30% with someone else's personality. I want raw.
You got to deal with someone else.
Tanner and Josh. And so if I had any dignity, I would have bowed out and just let this be an unfiltered Josh and Tanner episode. But I'm selfish, so I didn't do that.
Well, it's 10:30 on a Friday, so I'm sure we're gonna end up a little unhinged by the end of this.
Yeah, we'll be wild boys.
So you'll get it.
But also, we're not here to talk about a Pokemon game.
Right.
We're here to just hang with you, talk about some Pokemon lore, get your insight on some Pokemon stuff. So, and we're not even going to battle you. That's the other part about having guests on, is they always generally crush us in the battles and embarrass us, and we're not battling you in Pokemon tonight. Although we could, I guess.
We should set that up. Yeah.
If you're feeling horny.
I was really wanting to do a battle like either for Coliseum or XD. I think that ship has sailed. Unfortunately, it'd be kind of weird for the listeners to be like, "What's from like a season ago?"
No.
Well, you've played a few of the games along with us.
You know what? I would absolutely be down for, even if it is selfish. It would make no sense in context of the show. It would be a Pokemon TCG game on Game Boy game.
Oh, yeah.
I will Pokemon TCG Game Boy game you.
Is there any way that the three of us could connect?
Is there a portal for that
game?
I'm sure there's a portal, because there was like 15 years ago when I was actually playing it back on like AOL 2.0. So I'm sure there's a way to do it now, and I would love to introduce you to a little card called Jungle Scyther.
I would love that too. That sounds like exotic and exciting.
Isn't that the one, Tanner, you ended up using a fair amount too? Or is that a different one?
Jungle
That's like
Scyther? It's completely foreign.
It's got the Swords Dance and then Slash, and it's like 3 colorless for Slash and 1 colorless for Swords Dance.
Yeah, that does sound
And then
familiar.
Swords Dance doubles it. Is that the same one, Lava?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
That does sound familiar.
Tanner, you figured out like independently that one was good. I wasn't using that one.
Yeah, I kind of went for these heavy hitters.
He was all about that haymaker, and Josh. I don't know what Josh was doing. He had these like wild evolution decks. Like,
I was making it up.
Got Poliwrath and Blastoise and Vileplume and Victory Bell all in the same deck. It's just like a million evolutions, and then Tanner rolls in with these like haymakers, and it's like, yeah, that's how you actually play.
Yeah,
of course, I mean, you don't have to get super competitive against like Larry the swimmer or whatever in order to win.
I got really obsessed with that Nidoqueen deck too, with the
boyfriends.
Yeah.
Boyfriends. I thought was hilarious.
Yeah, that was on brand. That was pretty good. I did like that, but Scyther is still better.
Yeah.
Best Pokemon, by the way.
Scyther?
Yeah, Scyther's the best Pokemon.
Is that Lavy's sweetie? Are we gonna say that now?
I don't know. He's too cool to be a sweetie.
You admire that one the most, but it's not your sweetie necessarily.
Yeah, Scyther gets me Randy, as Tanner would say. But I would say he's a sweetie. He's too cool. He's hotter than he is cute.
Yeah. That's true.
He could get it, yeah.
I gotta say, though, in this gen, we're currently playing through Pokemon Platinum. Scyther has appeared in Pokemon Platinum, and I realize now in the full, 16-bit Splendor, how small Scyther is.
Yeah.
I think from Pokemon Snap, I had this impression that he was, a giant, bigger than a man. But he's,
what?
sort of the size of, a toddler.
What? Actually, let me look up his...
Full height, I just looked it up, is 4'11".
He's pretty tiny.
But
yeah.
I actually thought in Coliseum and XD, he looked shorter because he's always crouched.
But in Snap, he's huge.
Yeah, because he's always
and
flying.
You think oh, this is a big, mean man, but it's a toddler.
Are toddlers almost 5 feet tall?
No, but
you would know more than both of you would know more than me, but
he's all hunched over, and I was never quite sure how the Pokemon heights work. Is that because he's always hunched over? So is that from if you used a measuring stick on his normal hunched over thing? Is that
yeah?
his
Where are
height?
we measuring?
Or is it if you stretched him out and then that's his height? I know the whole Pokemon measurement height system never really made sense to me. But
how do you feel about Scizor?
He's cool, but not as cool as Scyther, because Scyther's the coolest. So you can't beat that.
I think that's true.
You were saying before we began recording tonight that despite your bona fides as the foremost Pokemon expert in the world, you've not played every Pokemon game.
I have not. I've not played Gen 7 at all. There's been a few games, I haven't played all three. I didn't play Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum, but I did play every generation except I didn't play Gen 7 at all, and I haven't played Omega Ruby, Alpha Sapphire either, because at the time I was on this 3-year bender in China, mostly in a North Korean bar, just playing foosball and getting trashed till dawn every night.
What a life you live.
I was just out of it. That's where I met my wife, actually. But
sounds like a sitcom. We got a sitcom in the making here.
Right.
How I Met My Wife, North Korean bar.
Yeah.
On foosball benders.
I would watch that.
So, I got so good at foosball. Foosball is so... Anyway, we want to talk about foosball. But, I was out of video games for 3 years while I was on that massive bender. And so I missed those 2 installments. My wife did get me a 3DS for Christmas this year, but then she also gave birth to a baby later the same day. And so it was kind of... It put a little bit of a damper on the Christmas present, and I have not gotten to actually play any 3DS in the last 2 months. A bit selfish, not great timing on her part, but she did give it to me, so I guess we're.
I gotta say, man, when my son was born, I had a few months off of work because I was the primary caregiver. That was some of my best video gaming time because the little kids, the little ones, they are always sleeping.
Yeah, I finally beat Mario plus Rabbids yesterday. 100%ed it. Took me 3.5 years, but I finally did it yesterday while Phoebe was sleeping.
That's exciting. And when they become 2, which is how old my son is, they require constant attention, and you can't ever play video games ever. You keep buying them, and you keep downloading them. Just bought Bravely Default 2. Excited to play it. Have no idea when I'm going to get around to playing it, but...
That's what I'm always mesmerized by, is that you have more games and then often are still out-leveling me, but have a lot more going on.
Oh,
I'm
never
very
play
impressed.
them. I never play them.
You just have them.
I buy them, and I'm excited to play them, but then I just never play them.
It's like a security blanket.
Because what I have to do
You just want to make sure
is,
they don't run out.
What I have to do instead is constantly grind at Pokemon to have the honed edge against you, Joshua.
Yeah.
And it still doesn't work out. You still kick my ass every week.
So, bug catchers, this episode is coming out in between Heart Gold, Soul Silver, and Platinum. But the day that we're recording on is Pokemon Presents Sinnoh Remakes
25
day. So I feel like we should talk about Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl, and Pokemon Legends a little bit.
Yeah.
Legends in particular, because I think we've really confronted this in the Platinum season, was the mythology, especially when I was growing up, always seemed really cool. But the more that we get into it, this is so complex.
It's always been complex to me, man. God exists and he's a Pokemon?
Yeah.
What?
I presume Legends will be a series and they will use it. It will be Pokemon Legends Arceus, there will be like a Mewtwo one, there will be Deoxys, whatever.
You think this is going to be the lore series?
Yeah, that's what I think, but maybe it's more what I hope, and that they will start like sorting out what the hell is going on with like the origin myths of Pokemon in general. You know, we've talked about the conspiracies of like that there was a great war, and that's why there aren't guns, because they all got banned, and that's why like all the fathers are dead and shit.
We're not going to see a great war. Certainly not, you know.
No World
action.
War II Pokemon
God,
game.
I would love that. Do you guys remember that the Call of Duty game
Use
that like
Latias as a bomber?
You could like do Normandy Beach. You remember that? Like in like 98, there was like some Call of Duty game where it was like fight through Normandy Beach. I would love that in the Pokemon universe. You're like a dad in the Great War,
But you've got some Pokemon down there.
and
with
you've
you.
got an artillery just like firing off artillery rounds.
Hell yeah.
You've just got like all these like Mr. Mimes in their boats, like coming up on the beach and like running up, and then there's just like Gyarados hyper beaming them all like to death.
Shoveling their intestines back into their torsos.
Right.
Yeah, what did you think of the Sinnoh reveals in general, I guess?
Yeah, I was watching it live, and like the Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl one came on, and it was like, first it shows it on the DS, and it was like, this is what it looked like 15 years ago. It's like white flash, and it's like, and this is what it looks like in 2021. And I was just, my initial reaction was just like, that's not different enough. Like,
Yeah.
You don't like the like weird little like chibi art style
Chibi?
of it?
well, first let me say, like, I know, like, I feel like if you say anything negative, people say that you're a hater because they're so burnt out on all the Sword and Shield hate. And if you go the other way, then you're a shill. I'm just going to just try and separate myself from that and just be like, as a Pokemon fan who, I don't really consider myself either one of those things, but people have been like hyping up Gen 4 remakes for years, and it's like,
Yeah.
I mean, whether you like the art style or not, like, this is not hype. Like, this is not blowing anyone's minds. Like,
Right.
whoa, like, it looks upscaled from what it looked like on the DS 15 years ago.
Right.
I feel like Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire did such a good job of this.
It was a bigger leap.
It wasn't just upscaled. It wasn't just like reintroducing the game and having like improved new graphics, but like all these cool new mechanics and new like areas and like all this kind of stuff. So I think I don't know, maybe a lot of that stuff remains to be seen. All we got was like a tiny little
Could be.
preview, but I do agree with you there.
I also think that like the Sinnoh fandom at this point was like so ravenous for it to happen. It was becoming like a joke that they would never even remake any of the Sinnoh games. And so then I think like the hype was so high that like, I mean, how could they win?
Yeah.
I think they did.
I'll tell you how they won, Josh. They went all in on Sinnoh. It's all Sinnoh all the time
Yeah,
now.
that's true. That's
They
true.
were like, here's an extremely underwhelming game, and then here's one that's super ambitious, possibly biting off more than we can chew, but we are going to try.
Yeah.
And I'm glad they're doing it. I don't want to sound like a negative Nancy. It does look very ambitious. Who knows how big it actually is, if it's more of like a Pokemon Snap type of size, but with sort of like a Breath of the Wild open world type thing,
Right.
Or if it actually is going to be like a full game where they're actually going to have like gyms, or I don't even know, because they didn't show us very much.
It's prehistory, so it's like there are no gyms.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the excuse they're going to use.
To me, it seems sort of like Sword and Shield was them first experimenting with any kind of open world element with the wild areas. And then Legends is like a sandbox mode, but like, I don't think it's going to be a big world. And then I think they'll use that in order to inform like the next, like Gen 9 is what I would predict will fully go open world.
I hope so.
I hope.
Yeah, I mean, it seems weird to me that they revealed these like very faithful remakes of Diamond and Pearl that look, almost exactly the same, and then they're like, but that's late 2021, but in early 2022 we're gonna do this really ambitious, awesome
Yeah.
Sinnoh game.
Yeah.
People watching this are just gonna be like, well, then I'm just gonna get that one. Like,
Right.
That's because they know that everyone is going to get both,
Yeah.
including all three of us.
yeah, I mean, I probably will get both, but it just seems so weird to announce them at the same time, that they're both Sinnoh, and Yeah, it seems like an unusual business
Yeah.
move.
It felt targeted in a weird way. It was like, we're all in on Sinnoh, and it's like, why? Why Sinnoh? Like, sure, I don't care. Like, it's fine, but like, why are we making this all about Sinnoh? You know? And also, like, it's not really all about Sinnoh because, like, the 3 starters for Legends is Rowlett, who's from Gen 7?
Yeah.
And
then Cyndaquil from Gen 2 and Oshawott from Gen 5.
Which is like,
strange
just confounding.
mix, but it's cool that they're mixing them.
I feel like they took a poll and they're like, who are the most popular starters? And it was like, well, our poll said Cyndaquil, Rowlett, and Oshawott, so that's what we're going to go with.
By the way, did you see that Pokemon Company, sorry, this is kind of on topic, the Pokemon Company for the 25th anniversary did a poll for the top 30 Pokemon, and they got like 1 million votes or whatever.
Yeah.
And do you know who was number 1?
Pikachu.
The number 1 most popular. Pikachu was like number 12 or something.
Is it going to be Charmander?
Who's number 1?
It was Deaden.
Huh? Who?
Yeah, exactly. I was like, Deaden. Deaden is like
What's the word you're saying?
dead. I'm like you guys. I mispronounced all the Pokemon
It's
names, so that's probably wrong.
Deden.
Is it that creepy
It's
Pikachu?
like French spelling.
It's like the 10th Pikachu clone.
Someone tell me how to spell this Pokemon name so I can look it up.
Dedenne.
Deden.
Deden.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
This is what I'm looking at? You're telling me, Lava. Dr. Lava, you're telling me I just Googled the word dead end.
That's number 1.
And what I'm looking at is it's sort of like Raichu.
8 inches tall.
It's sort of like Raichu. It's sort of like Pikachu, except worse than both of those
than both.
Pokemon.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, when I saw that
It's
one,
got
I
the
was like,
coloring of a Raichu.
okay, they're not
It's got
even
the
trying.
cuteness of a
They're not even trying with the Pikachu.
This
clones
is
anymore.
number 1?
Yeah.
This thing sucks.
It's not even the best Pikachu clone. Like, Emolga is way better than that one. And it's just like, how did this beat the original Pikachu? Not to mention the better clone. It made no sense. The whole list was baffling. I don't have it in front of me. Maybe I should have pulled it up. But it was like Magnemite was way up there.
What?
And some
What?
other just Pokemon.
Magnemite? One of the worst Pokemon imaginable.
Yeah.
What?
The whole list was just like, it must have been hackers. I don't know what's going on here. This list is absolute horseshit.
There's that cool, like, sad ghost Pikachu who's like a sock puppet Pikachu.
Oh yeah, he's awesome.
I don't know what that is, but it's way better than this. Dedenne. This thing sucks.
Oh my god.
What a bad idea. Everyone who voted in that poll. Is it a joke? Did you guys all do that as a joke?
It's like when Mountain Dew did that poll like a decade ago, and they were trying to ask people to come up with a new Mountain Dew flavor, and then it was like Hitler was good.
Joshua, that was like 2 decades ago now.
No, it wasn't. That happened when we were at...
No, it didn't.
I missed that news story. Oh my god, y'all just you always reference that as the place that we both
Yeah,
worked
we're gonna
together
bleep
once
that.
upon a time.
It's gonna be bleeped.
Oh, it's gonna be bleep.
the place that we worked. We've said it. We've said it in some random episode.
I don't think so, because I always suspected it was that company, and then now you just finally just confirmed it.
You don't even have access to that company over in China, so.
Somehow I managed.
Joshua, Dr. Lava, I would like to hear about all of the games that you, Dr. Lava, have played along with.
Yeah.
In our 3.5 seasons so far.
Well, I
this
discovered
break.
it.
You did it to him.
I got you.
Wow. You got him.
I got you.
You got me.
I got you, Dr. Lava. All right, Dr. Lava, I have to apologize.
You got me.
Before the break, I got you.
We all get got.
Ensnared you in a Josh trap where I asked you a question just to lead in a break. But I am actually curious. Have you been playing along with us? How many of these games have you played? Did you bother with the GameCube games?
I discovered y'all about halfway into the first season, so I didn't play along that, and then I didn't play along with Gen 2.
Oh, you played along with Gen 2.
As a benefactor.
You coached along with
yeah.
Gen 2.
Yeah.
And you have to take responsibility for that.
Or was the Pokemon TCG? I guess that was after Gen 1, wasn't it?
No. Snap was after Gen 1.
Yeah, it was after Gen 2.
Yeah, I played through. I'll take any excuse to play Pokemon TCG game on Game Boy game again. I played that many times. I love that game. It's been probably 15 years.
Hell of a game.
It's so simple. Like the entire game takes place within like 10 rooms, basically. But somehow it manages to be just really good. It's only got like the first 3 expansions. In fact, I got so into it, I ended up going and playing like a fan translation of the Japan only sequel, which I'd never played before.
That's right.
I just played that on emulator.
How was that?
It was really good. So it's like it includes the whole first game. So it's like you go back to like TCG Island. Great name, by the way.
Straightforward.
You go back to TCG Island, but it's been like corrupted by these villains, and so it's like you play through the whole island as it's corrupted, and then it gets uncorrupted, and you can play it all again, or you can leave that for later and go to a second island. You take like a Zeppelin to a whole nother island where there's like a casino, and it's basically about the same size as the original island. And you play through all that, and then you can go back and do the uncorrupted TCG Island, basically the same as the first game. So it's basically like triple the size of the game.
Wow.
It's got more cards.
What gen was that? Like, what gen of Game Boy was that on? Was it also color?
I think it came out like a year or maybe 2 after the original, but it's really good.
Sounds good. Why were they so
Love to play that.
Why were they capable of doing so much more on that cartridge than
Then 10 rooms.
the TCG cartridge?
How could they fit 20 rooms in the sequel?
It's similar to how they did Gold and Silver, though. Like, they have the whole new game, and then they have some element of
but Joshua,
the first game as well. I mean, it's
Kanto region
dilapidated.
It was a joke.
They're in a recession.
It's like the same thing, but if Kanto was like twice as dense as it was in Red and Blue, so it's not just like a half-ass version of the first game. It's like a beefed up version of the first game plus a whole different game. Oh, it's so good.
I do think Trading Card Game was probably my favorite of the interstitials.
I think so too, man. What a good game that was.
Yeah,
Scorcher.
bring that back, Pokemon Company. Come on.
I did some of the Nuzlocke Fire Red Leaf Green with y'all.
Good.
I got about. I think I got to Erica, but I just wasn't feeling it. I really like the idea of a more challenging Pokemon game, but I really like catching them all. Like that's what I really enjoy about the game. Some people really like, I don't know, the competitive element. Or someone the other day told me like they only play Pokemon for the story.
That person is a maniac.
Which is laughable.
Yeah. That's
They're
that
like,
ruin maniac, yeah.
They're like, I don't really care if the games are challenging because I just play it for the story. I was like, look, dude, I'm a Pokemon fan, and I don't want to sound like a dick, but like Pokemon games have like the most basic, uninteresting story. They were talking about Sword and Shield in this particular instance. I was like, dude, Sword and Shield has no story. Like, what are you talking about? But anyway, again, I don't want to sound like it. Like
not only that, but it's like always an extrapolation of like the first game. Like the story is roughly always
The beats are all there.
some new evil syndicate that's trying to steal Pokemon from everyone, and then like they want to dominate the world somehow.
There's going to be a town that has a big department store. You're definitely going to end up in something like the Safari Zone.
Yeah, playing for the story, it's like, will he end up becoming the champion and beat the Elite Four? It's like that's
Right.
That's like the entire story. It's like, well, obviously yes.
Well,
he
it took
will.
Ash 20 years.
Yeah, it did.
What about these? What about the GameCube games, Lava? Did you play Coliseum and XD?
Yeah, I did. I never played Coliseum or XD, and I think I listened to like the first 2 episodes of y'all's Coliseum show, and I was like, yeah, I'll give it a shot. And I played it. I loved Coliseum. I think I'm gonna have to say it's my favorite 3D Pokemon game.
They're
It's
so
really
good.
Pretty
aren't they?
good, right? Yeah.
It's way better than I expected, and yeah, the music, just the whole vibe. I think one of y'all or both of y'all said that it had kind of like a Final Fantasy VII vibe to it, and I totally agree, especially the Under and all that. Like,
Yeah.
it was just really good. I didn't even miss like not being able to catch Pokemon because just the whole vibe was just cool.
Like, it weirdly makes the Pokemon feel even more special, like, and sacred because you can't catch them all. Like, every Pokemon that you get the opportunity to catch, it's like, even when it's something shitty, it's like, well, I don't care that it's shitty because like I have this one opportunity to catch this like shadow Pokemon, so I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna appreciate it.
I know y'all gave up on this, but I did catch all 48 shadow Pokemon, and then
We had to live
I had,
our
like,
lives.
Yeah, I understand. I was under the impression that if I beat Battle Tower, I would get Ho-Oh and thus have 100% completed the game. And I was like, all right, let's do this. So I just grinded that for like 3 days straight, basically. It wasn't even fun. It was just like battle for like 3 days.
Chore.
This is not fun, but it'll get me my 100%. And then like I beat it, and they're like, here's like 1,000 Pokemon coupons. Get 200 more, and you can buy Ice Beam in the store. And I was like, what?
Wait, so you still do not
I've
have
heard that's a
Ho-Oh?
Because when I play games, I try not to use any outside help, no online guides. I don't go to Bulbapedia or anything because I just like it just takes the fun out of it for me. So I try to do it just completely blind. But after I did that and I didn't get my Ho-Oh, I was just like, what the hell? So I went on like Bulbapedia or whatever, and it was like, oh no, you've got to beat Battle Tower in like battle mode or something.
Yeah.
Like basically the same thing, but just in a different mode.
What?
And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. So I get basically nothing for beating it in the campaign, but if I like exit out and do the all 100 floors on the battle mode, then I get a Ho. I was like, no, fuck that noise. So
Did you do it? You did it, didn't you?
Oh,
no.
got to draw the line somewhere.
I was already like, just like my gut was hurting just from having just done it in campaign for 3 days. I was just like, this wasn't even fun, but I did it. And then I was like, oh, I didn't get anything. Like, oh, just now do it in battle mode now. Anyway, so really enjoyed that. And just like I had with playing TCG2, I was I was boned up. And so I was like, yeah, let's do XD. And fortunately, y'all were doing XD. And I enjoyed it. I like Coliseum better, actually. Even though there's more content, there's twice as many Pokemon.
But all of Coliseum,
That's where I ended up.
I think all of Coliseum is essentially in XD, though. So like, if you enjoy Coliseum, you'll enjoy XD because it's all there.
I liked XD more growing up when I played it the first time, but when I went back, I like Coliseum better too.
Wow.
Like, it's just like the straight shit. Like, XD adds all this crap that like I don't care about. That like I think loses the narrative of like the Pokespots in particular like really rub me the wrong way.
There's like you don't do the Coliseums really. The Coliseums are basically not there.
Completely optional.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, they're like you essentially do not have to do a single one in XD.
And then you're like a 12-year-old kid instead of like a 17-year-old badass. And it was like that's an obvious downgrade.
The art style did take a big hit in XD.
Weirdly.
Yeah, not only are you a little kid, but it's like somehow like the whole game, the vibe kind of flows from that. Everything's a little bit more like, I don't know. It doesn't feel like it's like gritty as like Coliseum. Instead, it's a little bit more like, I don't know, like a traditional Pokemon game, which is fine. But I enjoyed the kind of breath of fresh air of the gritty Coliseum. That going into XD, like I thought it was supposed to be like the grittiest Pokemon game, Gale of Darkness.
Right.
Shadow Lugia is like kidnapping boat loads of people and then like dumping them in the desert. And I was like, oh, hell yeah. Like this would be even darker and grittier than Coliseum, but it was just like
Yeah.
And I enjoyed it, but I thought Coliseum just was like really unique for the series, and I enjoyed it more. But I could see why someone would like XD better because it does have more content, twice as many Pokemon, twice as many locations.
Let me ask you, so you are a fan of a lot of the interstitial games?
I am, yeah.
That we've played. Let me ask you about the real...
I know where you're going with this.
The real key game that Josh and I absolutely hated. Called Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. How do you feel about that game?
I've never played it. I've never played any of the Mystery Dungeon games.
You were very helpful in translating, not translating between languages, but translating between emotions. Our relationship with the Pokemon series translator,
Nabogasawara.
Who was quite upset with us.
He liked us, and then we went too far with Mystery Dungeon.
I guess so. He because I only follow like 30 people on Twitter, and so like when one person likes another person I follow his posts, like it's very easy to see. And so like I noticed that like Nob was like liking some of y'all's tweets, and then
suddenly blocked us.
I pointed it out. I was like, hey, I don't know if you guys noticed, but like Nabogasawara has been like digging on your stuff. And you're like, oh, cool. And then I don't know who I was talking to, Josh or Tanner. And you're like, what? He's blocked us.
I gave him a follow, and then he blocked us. And I was like, I didn't even say anything other than what we say on this.
So you're like, why did he block it? Like, maybe it was a mistake. So I messaged him. I was like, hey, did you block the experience share guys? And he's like, yeah, they were talking shit about Mystery Dungeon. all right, you never played a roguelike? You just don't get it? Just like, he took personal offense to y'all not liking it. And I had to
the game sucks, bud.
Look, they're irreverent.
It's not your fault, Knob.
Yeah. It's just, Knob didn't make the game, but he didn't care for your negativity. And
we're so positive about all these damn games, Knob.
I was just saying last season that when I was looking up the old chateau outside in Eterna Forest, that
I remember, yeah.
he translated that, and then he made the joke with the old gateau.
Hell of a joke.
Old cake. That's a good one.
Hell of a joke.
I don't even get the joke, so I know it must be clever. But
it's a bad pun, and that's what I
had
like.
to promise him that y'all would start liking Mystery Dungeon from now on, and he was like, "Fine." He's like,
"We won't."
I think we're just not going to touch those
them,
anymore.
But I don't want to hear from them. I don't want to hear their voices. I don't want to see them. I will unblock them. So like,
That's fair. That's totally fair.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Well, while we're on the topic,
yeah,
knowing you probably can't reveal your sources, you can't really say who all the names are. Maybe
all my sources. I don't have any secrets.
I've noticed you've had in the past week, a couple of weeks, you've like on your Instagram, you talked about like the French translator. Like it seems like you've interacted with a lot of the translators, and I'm kind of curious, like, what is that like? What's like the biggest personality, most interesting one you've met, if you could say?
Well, I've talked to the Italian translator Elena Fogazzaro, one of the two from Gen 1. And I forget his name, actually. One of the guys from, because there's like a million people who started work. Once Knob left, they start having like half a dozen people on each game. I actually forget the guy from Gen 5. Mostly I just, Knob, the guy who did the first 26 games in English, and then Julian Bartikov, who did Gen 1 and 2 in French. And yeah, I mean, they're the most, I don't know, in my mind, kind of the most important translators. And Julian Bartikov in particular. I love Knob, and especially since I speak English, I don't speak French. But Julian Bartikov is a real character. I think I told Josh the other day that he said something about Julian, and I was like, that dude is nuts. Like, we were talking about Predator a while back, and he was like, oh yeah, that movie's just like, oh, the Arnold Schwarzenegger? Yeah, that movie's like a metaphor for AIDS, and all the guns are just like phallic symbols. I was like, what are you talking about, dude? It's just like, it's like, yeah, you Americans don't get it, but you're from Arkansas, so like the nuance is lost on you. But like in France, everyone knows
it's an American movie.
In France, everyone knows it's just a big AIDS allegory. I was like, dude, I really think you're overthinking Predator. It's like Arnold Schwarzenegger and his buddies like shoot at an
Was
alien.
the AIDS epidemic that bad in France?
I don't know.
No way was it worse than here.
Like what?
I don't know.
I feel like he's taking a lot of liberties with that analysis.
And also giving Predator a lot of credit. That there would be like a metaphor involved.
Sure. Yeah. Sure.
I don't know if
According to
you're
the
missing this, Tanner.
French translator of the Pokemon games. And I'm not here to alienate us against another
good
Pokemon translator, you know?
No, Julian Bartikov is, he's awesome.
Sounds like a smart guy. Sounds like a thoughtful guy.
He's wrong about Predator.
Seems sassy. I like that.
You've played a lot of Pokemon games.
I have.
All of them, except Gen 7.
Right. And Oris. Yeah.
What's your favorite?
I think
Lava's favorite.
Lavy's favy.
Lavy's favy.
Lavy's favy.
I'd have to say Heart Gold, Soul Silver is probably my favorite. It's been about...
Ooh, we're about to get into that.
Not just marketing for our next season.
Yeah. To listeners, they slipped me $10 to say that, to hype up the next season.
We're gonna put it right on the album art for the podcast. Is like Dr. Lava's favorite.
Sounds good to me.
Lava, you've made me a little horny for the idea that like last remake, Fire Red and Leaf Green, we did a Nuzlocke run, which is the tried and true Pokemon challenge. But you said you don't like Nuzlocke runs because you like to collect all the Pokemon, and that got my wheels spinning a little bit. Joshua, this is directed at you.
Uh-huh.
What if our goal in Soul Silver Heart Gold is to collect them all?
Oh my God.
It's the Dr. Lava challenge.
Yeah, I have this little thing. I don't know, it's just kind of my own personal little thing where I like to collect them all, catch them all. It's this little idea I came up with where it's like you catch all the Pokemon and you like fill up the Pokedex.
No way.
It's I'm hoping it'll catch on.
You did like a whole song about it, like catch 'em, gotta catch 'em all. Gotta catch 'em all, Pokemon.
Yeah, that's my idea.
That's where you made your money in the 90s.
I'm just saying, instead of a Nuzlocke, why don't we do a Dr. Lava challenge and just try to catch them all?
That's what's gonna be. You're gonna have to put in a lot more hours because I can't
think
remember
that's
exactly,
the main
but
issue.
I think there's.
You know how many hours I put in that fucking Nuzlocke run?
Did you have to put in extra hours?
Yeah, it was pretty bad. It was pretty brutal.
Tanner had like a slaughterhouse going over there.
Yeah.
Where I fell off was I tried to follow you guys in to doing Saffron before.
Oh my god.
Before
Fuchsia.
Fuchsia. Yeah, I tried to follow your dangerous road, and
It's a meat grinder.
Yeah, I think I lost my starter and like a couple other Pokemon. I was like, fuck this.
Yeah, that's what I was saying too. I usually do Fuchsia first. I feel like it's a more gentle like
I think that's meant to be done.
intro because poison is so easy to kill.
Losing my starter in that gen was an inflection moment for me. It was like, oh, should I keep going or should I just stop podcasting entirely? Because like,
And the show's done.
losing Tom York, my Charmeleon,
Yeah.
that season was like, okay, I have no will to live. You know,
That was rough.
it's like losing a child.
Wow.
But I persevered.
I might play that through with you guys. I'm decided, especially with this new baby, it might not be able to do it, but it's really good. Heart Gold, Soul Silver. It has been about 10 years since I played it, but as I remember it, it was the best.
I would love for you to play it, Lava, so that we can battle.
Then you could battle us, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll just play it on emulator on my computer, and I'll just like tell my wife that I'm working. I'm like, I can't take care of the baby right now because I'm working.
I'm
on
working!
the computer, and like secretly I'm like grinding the Elite
That's
Four
work.
like again and again and again.
That's work.
Yeah, it's work.
We're burning the midnight oil. We're running low on time. We've got a million more questions to ask you, Lava, but there are a few really super important ones that we have to get out of the way first before we part ways.
Yes. Yes.
The primary one being, in my opinion, and Josh may disagree, what is your most you make me barf Pokemon of the week or of all time?
What can you not stand looking at?
What's the Pokemon that you find the most heinous, the most nasty, the most barf worthy?
I know some people are not going to like this because it's actually a starter Pokemon, and so I know
We do it every
I'm gonna get
week,
some-
man. You gotta just steer into
Okay,
it. People
yeah.
don't
I'll
always
stop
have to
being a-
like what you had to say.
Yeah.
I'll stop being a coward. Blaziken. Blaziken is hideous.
Yes. What a heinous shithole Pokemon that is with his little feet. Look at my feet. That's what he says.
He's just like
I love Tanner's Blaziken voice.
This one time, I'm from Arkansas originally, and they have this thing every year called Riverfest, which is just like you go get drunk by the river, and they have some like LL Cool J.
Sounds like a fucking party.
It's my kind of fest.
Yeah, it's just like, you know, you like do mushrooms, you go to the river, and like LL Cool J comes and like he sings some shit from like the 90s, and people are like, I can't believe they got LL Cool J. And it's like 2013 or whatever.
How do you manage to stay in China, Dr. Lava, when you know that the Arkansas Riverfest is beckoning you back home?
It's not easy, but it's well, I've got a warrant out for my arrest back in America for
Specifically for some Riverfest related incident.
some Riverfest stuff.
Yeah.
And so it's fortunately the choice was made for me.
Yeah.
It's hard to stay away, but I don't really have a choice. But there's one year they had, I've forgotten his name, but they had this like funk musician from the 70s come out who had these like bell bottoms on. And he was like disappearing behind like backstage like every 4 to 5 minutes. I can only assume to do another line of coke. And he had these bell bottoms, this like long blonde hair, and it like every time I see Blaziken, I just think of that dude. Just this long-haired, bell-bottom wearing weirdo.
And that creates a negative sentiment for you and not positive sentiment. Interesting.
Believe it or not, yeah, that's a negative. That's a negative.
The association with Anthony Kiedis doesn't help either. Smooth it over.
Anthony Keat, is that one of the
Red
Because
Hot
my
Chili Peppers.
I name mine
Yeah.
Tony Kiedis.
And tell us,
You might know him better as Tony Kiedis. Sorry.
tell us, Lava, how
Oh, Tony Kiedis. Yes,
penetration depth of the Red Hot Chili Peppers in China. Have they made it big over there? Do you know?
I hadn't thought about Red Hot Chili Peppers in like a decade until y'all brought it up.
Okay, so that's a pretty clear indication that they have not really penetrated the China market yet.
People really love that Scar Tissue song. Like every time I go to a Chinese bar, people are just like karaokeing Scar Tissue. But other than that, like zero penetration.
All right, well, I'm glad to hear that you had an You Make Me Barf Pokemon. I'm sure Josh has some kind of effete,
What the hell does that mean?
ineffectual follow-up about some kind of Pokemon that you think is cute and that you love. But I'm uninterested, so I'll let Josh take the wheel.
Well, you've discussed Scyther, who is very cool, and we all agree on that. But if you were getting like, you were like opening up your raw emotional self,
Yeah.
who would you say is the very,
Your id.
yeah, like you look at this thing and you're like,
I'm in love.
yeah, who's Lavy's sweetie?
Man,
Oh, you were unprepared for this question. Look at you. You're on your back foot.
You sent me this
Oh, wow.
before the show, and I was like, I had an answer for everything except
You knew it
I
was
like,
coming.
I'll make it up on the spot. But now, all right, the cutest, the one like if I could actually have one as like a pet.
God, what a good way to frame that.
Yeah, I think that's about right. Because Joshy's sweetie is based originally on the fact that I call Bobby and I both, to be fair, call our cat Winston the sweetie baby.
Just Winston. You have two cats.
Yeah, but Winnie's the sweetie.
Okay. Sure.
You know that, Tanner. You've said that basically.
POTUS is standoffish.
POTUS has like a concerned look all the time. I mean,
Yeah.
how could he not?
I guess
How could he not?
I guess I'm gonna have to say Dead End.
No, fuck you. Get out of here.
Fuck you.
No, I don't know, maybe Clefairy.
Give
or
us a
something.
real answer.
You like the squished Raichu?
Right.
Roadkill Raichu?
I guess it would be Clefairy.
That's like a admirable answer.
I'm a little bit of a Gen 1er at heart.
It's respectable.
Yeah.
Respectable.
A little bit, not too much.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do have more of an emotional connection with the ones that I grew up with. So
Who's got anything bad to say about Clefairy?
I can't think
Wait.
of something.
Let me think about Clefairy for a second. Is that the one with the egg?
No, that's Chansey.
Okay. Oh, thank God. I was going to say I do have something bad to say about Clefairy, but I don't. I have something bad to say about Chansey.
I think I like Clefable better. But I like both.
We had a discussion about this, Joshua, and Lava, you would know better than anyone. Clefairy was bound to be the series mascot of Pokemon.
Oh, yeah, we should definitely talk to you about
the
this.
original gen at some point, right?
Pokemon Pink? I think you uncovered this partially as well.
I didn't uncover it. There was at one point it said on Wikipedia, on the Pokemon Yellow Wikipedia page, it said that like I had discovered Pokemon Pink or something.
Humble
That's
brag.
Not true at all. No, it was like it leaked on 4chan along with a bunch of the other Pokemon leaks over the years, and I made a tweet about it. I was like, look what just leaked, and people were like, oh my God, Dr. Lava discovered it. It's like, not really.
That's journalism. Lava, that's journalism.
that
You
is.
don't give yourself enough credit.
Something happens on the internet, and then I tweet about it. And it's just like, well, Dr. Lava did it single-handedly.
That's it. People's entire careers you're describing.
Unfortunately, that's some truth in that.
It's like how they say that Tanner discovered that all these Pokemon are so sexy.
Yeah, he did.
Well, also Lava, let me get just really quickly, super quickly interstitial.
Jesus.
Thoughts on low punny, sexy, unsexy?
Redacted.
My wife is in the next room. No, I don't see
No
it.
comment.
I don't see it at
No
all.
comment. Respectable.
I don't get it.
Yeah, don't get it.
I don't approve of it.
And he's winking. He's winking so big
Yeah.
and so wildly.
He's Dr. Lava, not Dr.
Yeah.
Footstep, you know?
I would not smash.
Yeah.
So Pokemon Pink, Clefairy, this fabled proto Pokemon.
Well, people often say that Clefairy was originally supposed to be the mascot, not Pikachu.
We said that.
So it was the star of the original Pocket Monsters manga.
Right.
Or manga. Mispronounce everything.
Thank you.
A lot of Pokemon models in that manga were off model because they just didn't have like proper reference sheets. So I think that was more a decision of the manga people, not necessarily like a remnant of anything to do with the games. As far as Clefairy is supposed to be the mascot. You know, Pikachu was chosen to be the mascot after the fact just because it got popular. I haven't seen any kind of like a smoking gun to suggest that Clefairy was once supposed to kind of have the Pikachu position, any kind of quote or anything. But there was that, in that leak, Pokemon Yellow's source code that included a lot of kind of like references to Pokemon Pink, presumably as like a paired release to come along with it. And since Pokemon Yellow was the one that was made more like the anime with Pikachu, the assumption, and you know, you take it with a grain of salt, is that Pink probably would have had Clefairy and maybe would have focused more on the manga, whereas Yellow was on the anime, and that you would have Clefairy and that it would have kind of some of the small details that would be more like the manga. Because there's only so many Pokemon that it could really be that would be pink. I mean, it could be Jigglypuff, it's possible, but very unlikely.
When I saw that, it made sense to me just because, like, Clefairy is a major player in Mount Moon. Like, Mount Moon is basically designed around Clefairy.
Right.
They got their little dance, they got the moonstones. Like, that actually kind of made sense to me.
I also just feel like Clefairy, of all the, like, little pink Pokemon, is the most reasonable or like the most appealing. I don't know, like Jigglypuff is sort of weird and inaccessible, and like Chansey sucks because of the egg stuff.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way it would have been.
It eats its own
it would have
young.
Been Pokemon Pink starring Chansey. That makes no sense.
So Clefairy makes sense to me. I think Clefairy is like a super solid choice for a hero Pokemon, and also a super solid choice for a Lavy Sweetie.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what got us down this road.
Good choice.
Joshua, we're quickly running out of time, but you're the one who prepped all the questions, and I want to make sure that you ask any questions that you're dying to ask of Dr. Lava before you have to go.
I think like my favorite question would be to ask, you've seen more than any of us, like Professor Oak is the foremost authority of Pokemon in the games. You're like the foremost authority of Pokemon in the real world, as far as I'm
maybe
concerned.
Overstating it, but
of the things that you've seen, like what's of either canned Pokemon features or games, what's the one that you like wish would actually have been greenlit?
Oh, yes.
Is it a lost Pokemon or like a cut mechanic?
Either
Any
or
and
both.
I'll do one of each, I guess. I think probably my favorite lost Pokemon. Everyone says Katora, the little like gerbil tiger thing.
Oh yeah.
Oh, the like electric cat.
I like Norawara, the straw.
Yeah.
It's like a little straw doll with a nail through it.
Oh yeah, the like kind of voodoo doll.
It's like a voodoo doll, but made of straw. And then it evolves into a Zhongshi panda. I don't know if you're familiar with Zhongshi, but it's like the Chinese version of a vampire.
But they're all pandas?
No, they're not pandas. They're like Chinese zombies, but there's only just one at a time. If you hold your breath, they can't see you.
That's like Doctor Who.
And if you want to kill them, you just like write a certain like Chinese character on like a sticky note and put it on their forehead. So they're really easily dealt with. Pretty lame as far as...
Oh, and the Pokemon has a little
Sticky
like
note.
post-it note on its belly.
He does, yeah.
It's cool. I like it.
That's good. I have seen that,
It's
yeah.
a cool one. And something that's interesting is that it seems extremely likely that the move Curse, which has a nail...
Yeah.
goes like into the Pokemon, was meant as Norawara's kind of like signature move, since he has a nail going through him. He got cut probably for being too creepy or occult or whatever, but the move Curse still made it into the game. So I think that's probably the most interesting lost Pokemon.
That's a cool one.
As far as like cut mechanic, in the original 1990 pitch, Game Freak did to like Ken Sugimori and Satoshi Tajiri went to Nintendo in 1990 and had like a document with their idea for Pokemon seeking funding, basically, which was approved. And in that original document, their idea, it's like a page describes like what the real world will look like, 5 years from now after Pokemon is finished. So like them imagining the future, like after their game becomes a big success. And so they say that there's going to be over 200 monsters. Of course, there was 150 in the end, called capsule monsters. And
Right.
so you can catch most Pokemon, but some Pokemon are unobtainable because they're just enemies.
Oh.
And they can't be brought over like onto your team.
Like a monster that you would just fight, but they're like,
Yeah.
they're so wild
Right.
that you can't even tame them.
And
Interesting.
And there's other Pokemon that you never even encounter, kind of like, I know you haven't gotten to Gen 5 yet, but like the original dragon. And Mew was originally supposed to be like that. Mew wasn't supposed to be in the game. It was just supposed to be referred to like in the lore, like the original dragon in Gen 5.
Oh, interesting.
And they were going to call these Pokemon that were in the game but you couldn't actually catch, they didn't call them illusory Pokemon. And also the only way that you could, there was supposed to be a charisma stat in the game, and you had to raise your charisma to catch Pokemon. So it's like, oh, my charisma's not high enough to get this totally badass Pokemon, so now I've got to deal. I can only get like these kind of weaker ones until I'm like charismatic enough.
It's like the happiness mechanic, but even worse.
I like that.
Right. But so just that whole concept of illusory Pokemon. I mean, I think it would piss people off nowadays. Like, there's a Pokemon I can't catch. But I think it's pretty cool that this illusory Pokemon concept.
Gotta say,
I thought that was pretty neat.
Yeah.
as a Pokemon newbie, there are a number of Pokemon I can't catch.
Right.
Illusory Pokemon, as far as I'm concerned, exist.
It's most of them.
I'm never catching a Mew, never catching any of these legendary beasts from Gen 4, like the centipede monster,
Giratina.
or the other two.
I like how you still refer to yourself as a noob, despite the fact you've had this podcast where you've been
Rigorously
playing
played.
like every for like 2 years straight. Yeah, I'm a noob. I've just been playing it like
70 something
every day
episodes.
for the last 700 days.
Yeah. What an interesting dive into the lore of Pokemon. Dr. Lava,
Thank you for joining us.
thank you so much for joining us. Joshua, before we depart, I want to make sure that there's not any super pressing questions you want to ask.
I mean, I feel like we could just keep hanging
Yeah.
forever, but you know, we're almost at midnight over here on the East Coast.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess I should say, like, you know, Dr. Lava, if you have any pressing questions for us, you can ask.
Let's flip it around.
One final question. Yeah.
What was that company that y'all used to both work at together?
Yeah, it was a New York review of books. Yeah, very prestigious, very elite.
I did want to ask, I know this is like a controversial question, but y'all steer into the controversies.
That's right.
Because once you commit to one, then everyone's just going to call you a hater of the others. What has been y'all's favorite generation that you've played so far? Or favorite game, I guess, because that include interstitials. What was y'all's favorite mainline game you've played so far? And separately, what was y'all's favorite spin-off?
Josh, we might have the same answers.
We might.
Do you want to say on the count of three what your favorite mainline game was?
Like now or historically?
Now.
Now.
We
should say now.
Run that we've done so far.
Yeah.
You ready to say it? 1, 2, 3. Gen 2.
Platinum.
What was that, Josh?
I'm feeling like it's platinum for me right now.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Historically, my favorite is
I think
Crystal.
it's gold and silver for me so far.
I think that Heart Gold, Soul Silver will probably bring it back, Dr. Lava, like as you're saying. I just think that I haven't played, and I haven't, other than, honestly, other than Yellow and Crystal, I hadn't played any of the, like, third games other than Platinum until now, so...
Platinum feels like a cheat.
There's a bias there, but, like, I just feel like that was kind of a pinnacle
Yeah.
of, like, those first four.
Platinum is great, but it does feel like a cheat because it's like, it's honed, like it is not one of the original, like, dual gen games.
Yeah, if it's main 2, I guess I might have misinterpreted that. If it is main 2, then it's definitely silver.
Yeah. I love Gen 2.
Yeah.
Favorite side game? Josh, count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Trading card game.
Yeah.
Oh, easily.
Just a romping good time. And it sounds like you agree, Lava.
I do.
Yeah.
Well, actually, it's hard to pick between Coliseum and TCG, but TCG is, as I get older, it's like I seem to have a more appreciation for smaller games, more condensed games, and
Yeah.
I think they were both pretty condensed, but TCG is just, you just jump right in. And you have like one tutorial battle, then you're just in. You can go to like any gym and fight anyone, and yeah, It's a great game. Love it.
It captures so well the like spirit of like collection, you know, like I also like Coliseum a lot, but like Coliseum like goes the other way with the whole like catch 'em all kind of thing, where it's like your pool is a lot more limited.
Don't catch very many of them.
You know?
Got to catch 48 of them.
Yeah.
Or not. You don't really have to.
It's like a good RPG, but like I'm not totally sure it's a great Pokemon game. Whereas like TCG is like it's classic Pokemon, you know? Like
Yeah.
it's just got it all.
Bycatchers, and maybe Dr. Lava, maybe you listened to it too, but when Tanner was on hiatus, I did the proper like trading card game online with my friend Mike Levine.
I was tempted to jump in.
And I was like, it's good, but like it's not the same. Like the trading card Game Boy version, the storyline is good. Like it sets you up to like actually learn how the mechanics work.
Right,
and then like
right.
now the online version, which I presume is like the physical version as well, it's just like this GX, EX shit.
It's like every modern
out of
like
control.
card game, like Hearthstone or Magic the Gathering, where it's like totally inaccessible to new
Yeah, and I stopped playing
players, you know.
Hearthstone for the same reason.
I know someday y'all are gonna get to, much like Tanner has with Babysitter's Club, you're just gonna like run out of material. You're gonna get through Sword and Shield and then the Gen 4 remakes, and you're just like, well, what do we do now? When you get to that point, I look forward to that, because that means y'all are gonna be so hard up for material, you're gonna have to pull on stuff like the fan translation of Pokemon TCG2.
I'm looking forward to
You're
it.
gonna have a great time.
That'll be first up.
We've been saving that shit for the Patreon, but the inevitable Patreon. But I'm looking forward to the weird fan translation shit.
I look forward to that.
sure.
I do wonder, what do y'all have like an end game, a post game podcast plan? Like once you get done with Gen 8, you're just like,
I think we're both
start
kind of
floating around playing.
We're both thinking of that as like a million years away and not something we have to consider yet.
Yeah.
Well, there's a million spin-offs, so.
We're just trying to make this thing into such a success that we don't have to do our day jobs anymore, because right now that's what's limiting us from playing more games.
I think what we'll do is we'll pivot into the more popular and more beloved series and more prolific series, Digimon. Yeah.
Right. With even sexier creatures. Those angels.
Hachi. We must go. It is midnight here in the States. I'm sure it's 11 a.m. in China, and now you have to face the entire day having had half of a thermos of vodka at Dr. Lava. But thank you so much for joining us. This has been such an interesting deep dive into the lore of Pokemon and the lore of the Dr. Lava YouTube channel and Twitter handle.
Yeah.
As I said at the top of the episode, such a key player in our podcast and such a big and influential early fan of our show, and we thank you so much for all of your support.
Big fan.
Thanks for coming on. So fun.
Thanks for having me.
And we hope this is not the last time. We hope that in the future,
yes,
we can battle you.
Let's battle.
Maybe we'll have you on for a genuine guest spot on a genuine
Babysitter's Club
game episode.
Oh, game episode.
Yeah. You want to come on Babysitter's Club too? You can come on that one too if you want.
I've only read like 4 or 5 of the books.
That's 4 or 5 more than most people.
Well versed enough.
Wow, more than me.
Thank you again for joining us, Dr. Lava. My name, as always, has been Ponytan, aka Tanner Greenring, and I'm joined, as always, by my co-host in Fjelnape,
That's good.
aka Joshua Fjellstead, and we are joined this week by Dr. Larvatar, aka Dr. Lava. Thank you again for joining us.
Thank you.
And Dr. Lava, where can our listeners find you if they have not already found you somehow?
My Twitter is the best place, at Dr. Lava YT.
Whitey?
Yeah. I don't know if this never occurred to me yet. Dr. Lava Whitey. Yep, that's me.
Dr. Lava, the letters YT for YouTube.
And he's also got an excellent YouTube channel.
It's dead. I haven't made a video in over a year. It's dead as hell. I do write
Well,
videos
whatever.
For,
It's still great.
Thanks.
It's history. Always lives.
I do write for Did You Know Gaming nowadays, so that's my YouTube thing nowadays. Because I gave up on my own channel.
Oh yeah, that's right. Did you know gaming?
Yeah. Well, great. Thank you so much, again, Dr. Lava, for joining us. Thank you for joining me, Joshua Fjellstead. Please do rate and review the show on Apple Podcasts, and do follow it everywhere that you follow podcasts. And do follow us, in addition to Dr. Lava, on social media at EXPSharePod on Instagram and Twitter.
Yes.
That's it. We will see you for Heart Gold and Soul Silver next week.
Heart Gold, Soul Silver.
Remains to be seen whether or not we're going to do a Nuzlocke or this new and exciting Dr. Lava challenge where we catch them all.
Catch them all. Oh my God.
Will that be a nightmare? Probably.
Yeah.
Will it be more of a nightmare than Nuzlocke? Probably.
I still think so, yeah.
Are we going to do it anyway? Who knows? Probably. We'll let you know.
We'll let you know.
Everything's up in the air right now. Everything is chaos. We're living in a world that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
In a universe that doesn't care about us. So let's just keep hurtling at 99.999% the speed of light through the cosmos until we finally collide gloriously with whatever comes next.
Editor's note. We looked into the lava challenge, aka catching them all, and it could take up to 300 or more hours, and we have a lot of other Pokemon games to play, so we will not be doing that. Perhaps we'll figure out a way of catching them all in some other way in the future. So we will be doing a Nuzlocke with some sassy new rules, and you can find those this week on our social channels at EXPSharePod, and we'll see you in Johto.
Dr. Lava, Joshua, thank you for joining me tonight. Good.
Smell you later.